Good evening, everyone. This is Jeremy here at Extreme Weather Tracker, updating your tropical weather at 10 p.m. on July 23rd, 2011. I have one feature I want to talk about mainly tonight, and that is the Invest 90L here in the Eastern Caribbean. That is currently moving to the west-northwest slowly and should enter the Gulf of Mexico sometime early next week. Now, the National Hurricane Center has given this a 10% chance of development in the next 48 hours, and mainly such a low chance is because of the interaction with land masses, and it's currently being sheared off the northern portion of this system is being sheared. And you can see the high cloud tops getting blown off here, so that's inhibiting any development. Now we'll go to the shear map. This is the current shear tendencies for the Atlantic Basin, and as you can see, our invest is somewhere in this area here, and over its life as it moves west northwest, it should stay in an environment of fairly low shear for this time of year. Actually, in this area here, all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, we're only looking at 5 to 10 knots of shear. So the shear shouldn't be a problem as it continues on to the west-northwest. Should have some chance of development if it can avoid interaction with these land masses, Cuba and Puerto Rico, etc. So we'll be keeping an eye on this to see if this thing stays far enough south to avoid interaction with land. Now, there's going to be a different story once this gets into the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico's waters are very, very warm, and the shear is very, very low, and so I expect to see some development possibly after we move past 75 west, somewhere around 80 west. We probably should start seeing some bit more of development out of this system if it's going to do anything. Now I'll show you, this is the 850 millibar vorticity map, and this just shows you where tropical cyclone potential vorticity is. As you can see, this area here, just to the west of the Lesser Antilles Islands, these little islands here, you can see this vorticity here, and that just indicates that there is a potential in that area for development. Now, if this thing can stay far enough south and avoid main interaction with these islands and go through the Yucatan Channel, then it has a possibility to develop before it enters the Gulf of Mexico. But as I was saying earlier, I expect somewhere past 75 west, somewhere in the northwestern Caribbean, we'll see some development out of this, and especially we'll have to keep a close eye on it once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Now I want to show you the model tracks. As you can see, here's the Lesser Antilles Islands, and this is where the models are initiated from in this area here. As you can see, the envelope takes it basically on a west-northwest path. Basically takes it a little bit south of the islands here, takes it a little south of Cuba, and brings it through the Yucatan Channel into the southern Gulf of Mexico in the coming days. After that point, it'll be hard to pinpoint exactly where it's going, which that's not really important right now. But I think anyone from the central Gulf Coast all the way to the central Mexican coast should keep an eye on this system, as we know from past experience that hurricanes or tropical systems, once they enter the Gulf of Mexico, can ramp up quite quickly and even go through what we call rapid intensification, where they rapidly intensify into a major hurricane. Both the GFDL model and the HWRF model, looked at some model runs of those. Both of those bring this up to a Category 1 and a Category 2 hurricane, respectively, over the after this thing enters the southern Gulf of Mexico. So we'll have to see what happens with this and the eventual track. Like I said, general west-northwest direction into the Gulf of Mexico, and at that point we'll definitely have to keep a close eye on this here in southeast Texas to see what comes of it. At the very least, we can expect some enhanced rain chances out of this as it moves off to the west-northwest. Switch back over to the satellite view. As you can see, Invest 90L and the Hurricane Center has tasked the hurricane hunters on the 25th and the 26th to fly into the system, where they will expect it to be somewhere in this area here. Maybe start some development there, and then begin 6 hourly flights, one flight every 6 hours, once this thing gets a little bit farther into the northwestern Caribbean and in the Gulf of Mexico, if it develops. And like I said, at this point, I don't want to go out on a limb and make a fool of myself, but I do believe that we will see some development over this, as I don't believe there's too many inhibiting factors in this area here. I believe that once it gets if it can avoid the interaction with the islands and get into the Gulf of Mexico, I would definitely believe we'll have to keep an eye on it for at least a tropical depression. And if this thing does become named, it will be named Don. So we'll see if we get Don before July's end. Anyway, just wanted to update you guys, and I will be updating again soon as this thing develops, as it progresses further to the west. We'll keep you updated. So once again, this is Jeremy here at Extreme Weather Tracker. You guys keep checking back, and you'll have a wonderful evening.